guys, thanks for joining me for this next tutorial. I'm going to be colouring a colouring page from Jasmine's book Halloween. I am colouring autumn today. So I'm going to use Prismacolor pencils. I've just got drawing paper and I've actually printed it as a no line image, and I'm going to start using the first pencil here is henna, and with the henna I have a sharp point there. I'm going to draw in all of the shadow areas of her face. So I'm doing a very light layer first, and then I'm going to go over in subsequent layers a bit heavier. So I'm just layering this up first, so very light hand, and just drawing in all of the shadow areas where I want the shadows to sit on the face. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Okay, so I've gone around all of the shadow areas with that previous colour. I'm going to go over the henna now with peach. So I've just got peach and I'm coming in with a light pressure and just blending this a little bit further out. So going over the top of the previous colour and coming out a little bit further. So very, very light pressure at the moment. Now I'm going to do the same thing but with light peach now. So I'm going to go over the top of all the colours and bring this out further into the white area. And I'm still using a very light pressure here as well. Now I've got eggshell, and I'm going to use this as my yellow tone. So I'm just going to go over the top of the previous colours and come further into the highlight area. I am going to put this all over the highlight area as well, and then I'm going to blend that out with white later on. But for now I am going to put it over the entire area of the skin. So going over all of the highlights and all of the dark areas that we've already done as well. So now I'm coming back in with my henna, and this time I'm actually going to do it with firm pressure. So I'll come up close and I'll do a little part of it through all of the colours. So we start off quite dark and with firm pressure on the edge of shadow, and then as we come out towards the highlight, I actually release the pressure of the pencil and just do it lightly over that area. So we start off quite firm, and then as I come up towards the inside area of the arm there, I'm actually releasing my pressure, and it's just a little bit of colour that's going on there. So firm and then light, and then I'm going to come over with the peach. So we'll start with high pressure in this area we've just done, and then I'll bring it out a little bit further and release that pressure so it's nice and light. So the next colour blends in nicely with it, and we don't have a definite line there, it sort of blends in nicely. So the next colour that we're going to bring in is just light peach, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the light peach. So I'm just doing firm pressure and coming out lighter as I come into that highlight area now. So you can see that there's more of a smooth blend rather than a straight line there. So I've got the light peach now. I'm going to come over all of that. Firm pressure there, all the way down, and then just bring this lightly up into the highlight area. So we're mixing the colours in. Now I've got the eggshell, and I'm going to come a little bit further up into the highlight area, but I'm going over the entire area I've already done. So we're putting the yellow tone in. And now I've got white, and I'm going to go everywhere with the white. The video is a little bit grainy here, I do apologise for that. So we are now going over the entire area that we've just done with white. So this is what we're actually going to do over the entire body of or wherever there's skin showing. So I won't come back in too much in that time, but we're just going to go from the henna out to peach, and then light peach, and then we've got our eggshell, and then white. So we're going to do this on the rest of the area. Now what I'm doing now is I'm coming in with a blending stub, and I'm smoothing off the pencil. So with Prismacolor pencils, which I'm using, they are very waxy, so you can see quite a shine on the paper at the moment. So I'm just pushing that down and smudging it in a little bit more to get a better blend. Okay, so let's start on the rest of that now. I am just going to add some blush pink in underneath the eyes there on the cheek area. So that's blush pink, and I'm just going to add that in now, and then I'm going to continue on with my blend over the top of that. So now I've done that, I'm actually going to come in with the black pencil. And I'm just coming over the eyelashes, very, very fine strokes here. And I've got a very sharp pencil as well. So I'm just coming around the eyelashes and filling those out now. So I'm starting on the lips now, and I've got Tuscan red, and I'm just going over the corner edges. I'm doing a line underneath where the top lip and the bottom lip join, and I'm just doing the side edges of the bottom lip as well. Now I've done a little bit of a part in the middle there as well for a bit of shadow. I'm going to blend over that now. I've got raspberry, and I'm just going to go over the top of that pencil and just blend it a little bit further out towards the other side, and then on the other side as well, so there's still a bit of a gap in the middle there. I'm going to use the next colour, which is crimson red, and I'm going to blend over the top of this again. Just get rid of the dust there. So we've got crimson red, or crimson lake I should say, and we're just going to blend that out a little bit further. Now I'm going to get the white pencil and I'm going to blend over the top of this. So just bringing it out towards the darker areas now. So we put the white in the middle and we'll blend it out towards the shadow area. Just nice and light. Pushing that out. Okay, So I'm going to use that Tuscan red to do the wings of the dragon. So I'm just starting in now doing that. I'll just move the page up for you so you can see that. Okay, so I've done the shadow area and I'm doing the bottom part of the wing here where the shadow would be. And I've just lightly put a layer of it just halfway up the wing there. I'm blending that out now with the same colour that we used on the lips. So we've got raspberry. Doing it quite firm at the bottom there and just lightening up my pressure further up. And now I've got that crimson lake and I'm just going to do the top layer there. Now on that top edge is going to be white. And I'm going to use the white to blend that over, just slightly over the rest of it. I'm actually going to use the solvent to do some of this. So I've got some solvent here, I've got Zest It. I'm using it on a small brush and I'm just going to use a brush to blend over the top of the pencil there so that it makes it nice and smooth. So I'm just showing you a couple of different ways to use a pencil. So because I do get very sore hands, this option is really good because I don't need to put any pressure on it and the pencil still looks really good with it. So I've just blended that out nicely there with the Zest It solvent, so we'll just call it a solvent from now on. And I'm using a brush at this stage. I will go to a blending stub as well later on. Okay, I'm going to go over that top part there with a bit of white. Now because the solvent's still quite damp, it is kind of I guess really smooth on there, so I will come back maybe on the next lot and do it when it's a little bit drier. I'm coming in now with the Tuscan red again just to make that shadow area a little bit deeper. And I'm just going to blend that out again there, make it nice and smooth. So I'm going to use those colours on all of the red parts of the dragon, and I'm going to use the solvent to colour those in, and then I will use some green on the wings and the chest area, so we'll go into that in a minute. So I will go ahead and do some more of the red parts of the dragon now. So you can really see now how the solvent blends in that pencil nicely. You can still get your highlights in your dark areas with it. It's just you don't need to use as much pressure to get the same look as you would with putting high pressure on that pencil. So it's a great way to save hands if you do have issues with arthritis or anything like that. I know I struggle with holding that pencil for a long period of time, and especially when it comes to putting pressure on the colour to get that pigment nice and shiny. So yeah, it is a great idea. So I'm just going to come in and deepen up these shadow areas. Okay, so I'm going to start with the green, and again I do apologise for the camera angles. I am looking into getting a better camera that I can hold up a little bit higher and get the same quality video. So I am using under the wings there, I've got some moss green, and I'm just doing it nice and dark in the corners and around the edges of the spines of the wing there. And I'm going to blend that out with some pale sage. So I'm just putting all that in now, and then I'll blend that out with the pale sage. And then I'll use some white for the highlight areas. I'm going to use some solvent to do this as well, so you'll see that as I move along. So this time I'm going to use the blending stub with some of the solvent on it. So all I've got is a sharpened blending stub, and I've put the solvent onto it, and I'm just rubbing it in over the top of the pencil. So you do need a little bit more pressure to do this one than you would with the paintbrush. So yeah, I'm just popping over the top of everything there, and I'm just smudging it in with the blending stub, and on that blending stub I have got the solvent on it, so I've just dipped it inside it. So I'll just go along and do that there now. I did have to go back and reapply some more solvent because it does absorb, the stick does absorb it very quickly, so I'll just go over and do this now. So we've got moss green in the dark areas, and then I've got pale sage out further, and then some white as well. Just putting some highlights in that dragon now. Now I did somehow misplace some video of the stockings, so I'm just going to tell you now what I did do. So the stockings are exactly the same colours that I've used in the dragon. So I've used in the green parts, I've used the moss green and the pale sage. And in the red parts, I've used the Tuscan red, the raspberry and the crimson lake. Now I'm just going over the top of that with a white pencil. So as you can see there down her leg, I've left a gap in between the colours to represent the highlight area of the stockings. So I'm going to come out from that area and bring the white pencil out over the top of the other colours. So that's all I'm doing here to get that look. So I've just left a gap when I've put the pigment on, the pencil on, sorry, and then I've just blended that out with the white pencil to give it a shine. So it looks like there's actually a shine down the front of her leg now. So I'm coming in with Crimson Lake on the edges just to darken up those shadow areas now. I'm just using the electric eraser just to get rid of some of the dust that's gone onto the white part of the page. Now with Prismacolors, I do find that this happens quite a bit. The pencils do break off a little bit, leaving fine dust. So I'm just doing the dragon's eye. I'll do inside the eye, and then I'm going to do around the outside coloured part as well. So I've got burnt ochre, and I'm just doing around the outside of the eye there. Putting a little bit of that red back in there and spreading that out with some white. And just blending that in with white. Going back in to darken up the shadow area. I'm going to use a white gel pen and just put a dot in there. I am going to put some white gel pen highlights on the whole picture, so we'll go over any that I do now anyway, but I'm just putting a couple of highlights on the dragon there. Just remember with the white gel pen, on these pencils and also on polychromos pencils, the white gel pen actually does scratch off, so if you do make a mistake you can just scratch that off. Just doing the pupils of her eyes black now. I'm going to do her eyes a similar colour to the dragon's. So I'm going to use burnt ochre for the top of the eye here and also underneath the pupil, so I'll just run that down underneath. And I'm going to blend that out with sandbar brown. Then I'm going to use some blush pink to do under the fleshy parts of the eye there as well. And then I've got some warm grey 20%. I'm just going to do around the fleshy parts there and give a cast shadow of the eyelid as well. So I'll just do that, and then I'll blend that out with some white to make that all nice and white. So in the corner parts there wasn't actually anything marked, so I've just drawn my own in there as well. And I'm just putting the highlights in that with the white gel pen now. So I'm just going to do the eyebrows. I'm using the burnt ochre on each side of the eyebrow, and then I'm just going to blend that across there nice and light, and do the other side there. And I've just got the sandbar brown, and I'm just going over the top of that now. Just got some Tuscan red, and I'm putting in a light layer behind each of the curly parts of the bush, or the tree I should say, up here. So just popping it in randomly all over, nice and light. I am going to use the blending stub to blend this out with some solvent as well. So I'm not just going to be rough, put it in little parts here and there in the darker parts of the tree here. I'm just going to put it in the veins of the wings as well. So the wings are a lot like autumn leaves, or I think that's what they're supposed to be like. So I'm just using this to go in and put a little bit of texture in and some red into those leaves. So with my white pencil, I'm just etching in a star type shape. This is where the sun would be peeking through the holes or the gap in the trees. So I'm just going over that now with some canary yellow just to bring that out a little bit. And then I'll go over it with some orange as well. I'm going to use, so I've got canary yellow now. And then I've got my yellowed orange here. So I'm just going to go over the top of that, and then you'll be able to see where I've etched in the white, that little star that's peeking through. I'm going to use a yellowed orange to go around some of the parts of the trees where the sun would have been shining from them. And I'm also using some of that canary yellow as well to do that. So I'm just going to do this randomly over the picture where the gaps might be. So I'm just going to pick up some sky blue, and I'm going to put that, or sky blue light, and I'm going to put that in the top here where the sky is. I'm also going to do this on the left side of the picture as well. And I'm going to bring in some slate blue to blend that out a little bit and to put a little bit of depth into the sky there as well. So I'll do that now. And I'm just blending that out with some white now. Just putting a couple more highlights on the trees there. This is just some white to highlight there that there is it is quite bright there. So I'm just doing that now. I will have to come back over these again at the end just to brighten them up a little bit. So I've got some sienna brown, and I'm just going on the areas that I'd already done with the Tuscan red and just bringing them out a little bit further. So this is just the darker areas of the trees where there's another tree behind it, things like that. So I'm just going to fill that in now. So I've just got some Prussian green there, and I'm just going in and putting a little bit more depth in there, adding in some green now to the treetop. I'm just going to swap over to grass green now, and I'm just going to do some of the lighter areas at the bottom of where the bushes of the trees and the grass connect, so that'll be a little bit lighter there, and then bringing back the other Prussian green over the top of that, just creating some shadow and some depth within those bushes and trees. As I said, I am going to blend these out with some solvent anyway. I've got some moss green, I'm just going to add that in there. So I'm going to really mix up all the greens so that there's a little bit of texture and lots of colour throughout the whole area. So it's not all just one flat colour. So if I miss any, I do apologise. This one, it was moss green. I'm going to bring some orange into that now. I've got pumpkin orange, and I'm just going in and putting bits randomly around this area down here. This is where some of the sun's going to be coming through underneath, so I've made this a little bit oranger. I've got permanent red to add into there as well. Got some cadmium orange hue there, and I'm going to put that in there as well. And then I've got some canary yellow again to pop in there, bring out some more of the yellow, and then the deco yellow. So I'm just sort of randomly putting the colours all over, so I will swap from colour to colour throughout there. Got some sunburst orange, or yellow, sorry, and I'm putting that in as well. So just trying to brighten it up a little bit where the sun would be creeping through the bottom of the trees down there, and also up the top there where I've put the little star. I will put the colours on the bottom of the screen now, because I do swap and change a lot, going backwards and forwards between the colours that I've got there. So I'm coming back in at the moment with the pumpkin orange, and I did have just before that the moss green again. So I'm just going to play around with these colours, so I will just pop them in underneath just to tell you what I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a large blending stub. It's quite thick, but it's a little bit bigger, so because we're doing a larger area. I'm going to dip it into the Zest-It blending solution, and I'm just going to blend out the entire area. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So you'll notice that it does get a little bit more dull, and the colours sort of blend in towards each other, and it's just going to make it a little bit easier on myself, so I don't have to go in firmly with the pencil here. So I'm just going to use this blending stub to do that now, and then we'll come back in and we'll do the tree. So that looks good. I'm just going to cover up these white areas here, the highlight areas. Just going to go over them again. I do go over them a couple of times throughout just to make sure they don't lose their brightness, or they don't go dull. So I'm just going to grab some pumpkin orange, and I'm going to start to do the bushes underneath her wings on the left hand side there. I've forgotten those, so I'll just go in and do that, and I'll swap and change a few colours. I'll pop them up on the screen as well. And I'm just going to blend them out as well. So I've just got a smaller blending stub to get into the finer areas there, and I've just put the solvent on that, and I'm just using that to spread it around now. So I've got some Tuscan red and I'm just going to start on these trees up here. So I'm just doing some shadows in there and a couple of lines through the tree just to put the colour randomly through it because I don't want it all the same colour. So I'm just going to do that now. And I've just got a bit of black just to go into those shadow areas a little bit more in depth. Bring in some light umber and I'm just going to go around and bring that black further out and the other colours out a little bit more, so we're just trying to build up some texture in the trees. I've got some dark umber and I'm doing the same thing, just going into the shadow areas and then just putting a little bit throughout the tree area just to create some texture and lines through the branches. I've got some putty beige and I'm just going to go in and fill out the rest of the tree with this one. So just going over the top of the previous colours, so I should have a nice textured tree when I'm done. And I've just got some pumpkin orange. I'm just going to go around the tree and colour a little bit of this into the tree behind it, just to give it a little bit of shadow behind it so it pops forward a bit more. And I'm just going to blend that out with some solvent too. Just going to put a little bit of white on there for some highlight. Got some Scarlet Lake and I'm just going to put some red into these wing leaves, whatever they're called, wings. Just going to put some vine or veins through them, so bringing out some extra lines from the middle vein there just to create some veins through the body of the leaf as well. Got some marine green there, and I'm just putting a little bit of green into the leaves as well, just around the bottom of the leaves more than the tips of it. I've got some chartreuse and I'm just putting that in around that as well. It's just a lighter green yellow colour. And now I've got some yellow to orange there. I'm just going to place that in there as well, more to the tips of the leaves now. I've still left the edges, so I'm going to put a bit of this over the edges as well. I've just got some yellow ochre there, and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour, and I'm using fairly high pressure, just going over the leaf there. I'm going to do some more of the chartreuse over the top of that green area because it wasn't quite bright enough, so I'll just bring that out a little bit more. Got some cadmium orange hue there, and I'm just going to do the edge of the leaves with this. Just going over the top of that now with some sunburst yellow, just on the very, very edge, and I'm bringing it in a little bit over the top of the other colours in the middle there. So we're just burnishing the paper now and putting high pressure. Now I'm just going to put a couple of little highlight spots on the leaf. So I'm just showing you how I'm doing the leaves now on this one, and then I'll just go ahead and fill out the other ones, and I'll just put the colours up on the screen for you. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing all over the wings, leaves, exactly the same as what we've done before. So I'll add a few different colours in and I'll pop them up on the screen for you as we go. So I've just popped the highlights on the leaves there, so her leaf wings are now finished. They look really good, they're standing out from the background nicely. Now I've got poppy red and we're going to do the pumpkins down on the ground down here. We're going to try and make them look nice and rounded and fat in places, so we're going to try and give them some nice shade and some highlights to do that. So at the moment I'm using that poppy red and I'm just going to go into all of the shadow areas and fill those in. Now I'm also meeting up with the lines that come down from the top with the bottom as well, so that we can create a rounded look there. So I've just drawn those in now. I'm using high pressure and just filling in the lines. And I'm just coming out into the highlight area a little bit in a moment just to be able to blend that in nicely. So I've just sort of put a bit of low pressure on the pumpkins around that area there so that blends nicely. I'm going to blend that out with pumpkin orange. So I'm going to go over the top of the previous colour and then bring it out towards the highlight there. Now I'm going to blend that out further with the cadmium orange hue. Then I've got my orange and I'm bringing that in over the top of the other colours, almost coming completely over the highlight area now. Blending that out with the yellowed orange. And now I'm just going to repeat that over the remainder of the pumpkin there at the back. Just with the same colours, I'll put them up on the screen for you. I'm going to do the tops of the pumpkins now. I've got dark umber and I'm just going to go and do the shadow areas of the stems. I've got marine green and I'm going to blend that out a little bit further. And then I've got some moss green and I'm going to fill the entire area out with that. I'm also going to highlight this with a bit of white gel pen as well. got some grass green there. We're actually going to start on the grass. So what I'm doing is I'm just placing a piece of paper right at the bottom of my sheet here, and I'm going to do some stripes out from that. Before I do that, I'm just going to go around these clumps with this grass green, just to give it a little bit of texture and to show where there is a group or a patch of grass there. And I'll just put it in the shadow areas as well, because I'm going to go over this with darker greens in a minute. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this paper as a bit of a stencil in a way. I'm going to hold the paper at the bottom of the page, and I'm actually going to flick my green pencils from that piece of paper up onto my colouring page. This is to give the effect that the grass is coming from below the picture, so you're not actually just starting the grass right at the edge of the picture there. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll pop up the colours on the screen as well, because I do swap and change a lot here, because our grass isn't just all one colour. There's lots of shade, lots of light and dark areas. It is going to have a lot of colour through there, so I'll pop them on the screen, and hopefully you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing with the video. Hopefully I've got all of it there on the bottom. So as you can see now, I'm just coming from that piece of paper and bringing those stripes up, just flicking the lines up. I've just moved it down a little bit there, but I'm actually going to use this as a guide all the way over the grass, so all the way up to the top where the trees are on the right hand side there. So you'll be able to see me do that, and I'll pop the colours up on the screen as I said. So we've done the grass really quite well there. I've just got some apple green and I'm just sort of bringing a couple of stripes through. I'm trying to just get rid of the white space behind the strokes that we've done there, so it's really rough. I'm going to use a little bit of this too to come into the bushes in the background now, just to bring a little bit of texture through as well, so I'll fill that in. Some of that chartreuse, and I'm just doing the same thing. I'm putting it in the grass a little bit there to fill out the white space, and I'm going to put a little bit in the bushes and the trees around her as well. And I've just swapped over to dark green, and I'm just putting a little bit more darker texture through there as well. So I'm just trying to get that flat look is now going away because I'm putting a few strokes of colour over the top of that. Got that apple green again, and I'm just doing a little bit more texture. I've just got some more Tuscan red, and I'm just going to go over those deeper parts there again. I've also put a few strokes through the grass as well, just to bring in some of the colour from the trees down into the grass there. And I've got some orange, and I'm going to do the same thing, just a little bit over the grassy area there and into the trees. So I'm doing the butterfly wings now. I'm starting with orange at the bottom of each of these coloured parts of the butterfly. So I'll do this on all of the butterflies. Then I'm going to blend this out with the yellowed orange, so just a little bit further towards the edge of the butterfly. And I'm going to do that on all the butterflies. Now I'm bringing in some canary yellow, and I'm doing it almost to the tips of those edge pieces. So I'm going to leave a small tiny little gap, and I'm going to come in with some deco yellow after that. I'm going to put a little bit of that deco yellow in some of the dots above these coloured parts as well. And then I'm going to come in with, I did try to use a black pencil, but the black pencil doesn't quite get a thin enough line. So I've come in with just a cheap black fine liner, and I've just gone around those butterflies to give that effect. So I'm just coming into the clothes now, and I'm using denim blue first. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to put some of this on all of the shadow areas, and on the bottom of her dress there's some lines there, so I'm going to fill this in there on the lines and bring them a little bit further up just to show the real curves in her outfit. So I'm going to do that now. I'm just filling in with some yellowed orange the sides here. I've missed a couple of parts beside the wings there that I've had to fill out, so just done that there, and I've come back to the denim blue. So now I've got cerulean blue, and I'm just going to blend that out further. So I'm going over the previous line that the other colour has made and over the lighter area, and then I'm bringing this out with less pressure as I come further out to the white area. So we still want to keep some highlights on her dress. Now I've got blue slate, and I'm just going into the closer to the highlight area. I'm leaving still a small thin white line there just so I can come in with the white and just highlight that bit a little bit there for you. So just go through and I'm adding this in now, and I've got light pressure on right on the highlight area so I can add that white in. So I'm just using the white now on the highlight areas, and then I'm going to touch up with some white gel pen and just brighten up some of those real bright highlight parts. So I've got cadmium orange hue, and I'm just going over the hair, just all over it really, really lightly, just to put some of the tint into her black hair. I'm going to come back in later on and put some orange and some reds back into the black, but I just wanted to put this down as a base colour. So I'm just randomly putting it in. It's not smooth or nice and, I guess, straight and things like that. It's just roughly drawn on. So I'm coming in with a black pencil. It's very sharp, and I'm coming in and I'm lining the shadow areas. So I'm going around the dark parts of the hair where it would be very dark, so underneath her face there. Also where any hair would be overlapping other hair. So I'm going to go in and do that now, and then I'm going to use the little lines again. So from all of the shadow areas, I'm going to bring up some lines to show individual strands of hair. So we'll do all the lining first, and then I'll come back in and do that. So I'll just show there the thin lines I've done on the hair there. So I've done the top and from the bottom as well. So all I've done is the thin lines to represent individual hair strands to give it some texture. So I've done that already on one side of the hair, and I'm going to go and do the next side. So now I've got my 90% warm grey, and I'm going to go over where I've been with that black. So I'm just going to extend those lines a little bit further out into the hair, into that highlight area, and just make more small thin strokes out towards there. So we're creating texture and putting in each of those individual strands, which then will give us a highlight area because we're missing that middle part there. So I'm just coming in to meet each piece together with the other side, and I'll just do that all over with this colour. Okay, so I've got 70% warm grey, and I'm just repeating the same steps. I'm coming further in towards the white area, creating that highlight, and I'm just going over the other individual strands. So I'm creating more, and I'm going over the others to make them longer. So now I've got 50% warm grey, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. So I'm going to do this again with the 20% warm grey as well, and then I'm going to come back in and put some colour highlights in the highlighted areas. So now I've done the 20% grey, I'm just coming in now with the yellowed orange, and I'm putting this colour into the highlight areas just to show the colour of the sky and the surroundings around her in her hair. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'm also going to bring in some raspberry as well, so I'll go ahead and swap that over. I'll pop it up on the screen when I change it over. Okay, I'm putting some white highlights in now, just some small strokes through the hair. Just making sure I'm trying to get most of the tooth of the paper as well. And I'm just going to go in with the black again and just define those shadow areas and really bring them out so that you can see lots of depth and texture in that hair. Okay, so I'm just going to finish up now. I'm going to put the highlights on areas of her. So this is something that you can do wherever you'd like to do it. I've just put it on the tips of the wings, a little bit more in the hair, just basically lightened up the shadow area, highlight areas that I've got. I'm just going to go in and do that now, so brighten everything up again, and then our picture will be completed. So I'll just go ahead and put a few things in here now. Well, we're coming up to the end now, so thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you haven't subscribed already, if you want to subscribe, then you'll get notifications when I do upload new tutorials. So look forward to a marker one in this exact same image, because I am on my way with that one as well. And I want to thank Jasmine for these beautiful pictures to start with, and hopefully you enjoyed this. So any questions or anything that you'd like to ask, please do ask. Come along to the Facebook group, pop in and ask anything that you need to ask there, and do follow me on Instagram. I also have a blog which I will put up the colour chart as well, so once I've done that, it'll be in the description. So I'll put the paper that I'm using and things like that in the description there as well. So hopefully I will see you again soon, or hear from you again soon, and thank you so much again.